So you're confused on the best way to use your private health insurance with Optical Extras. We're going to give you some information today about some background about private health insurance. We'll also give you some information about how patients in the know utilise their entitlements. And we also wanted to talk about how we find out about how individuals can actually get most of their entitlements. Stick around to the end and we'll also discuss some examples about how we've actually done this for patients, and we'll cover some frequently asked questions as well. So I'm Tom from My Care Eyewear, bringing you an evidence-based perspective to behavioural vision care, and by way of background, I've been practising optometry since 2001, and our practice holds over 25,000 individual patient records, and I'm fortunate enough to have graduated, to have a fellowship with the Australian College of Australasian College of Behavioural Optometrists. Today I'm joined by Kristen.
Hi everyone.
Kristen is our wonderful dispenser and practice manager in Chinchilla, and Kristen has over 14 years worth of optical experience.
Yes,
and
lucky me.
Every day I come and work with you, I learn something new. So
always handy. Yeah, definitely.
So that's great. No, so look, so just for today, this is really for anybody that is looking for some value from their optical health entitlements. And it's not just for our patients, for basically any sort of private practice that, optometry practice, because we all do sort of similar things as well. All right. So if any time you have any questions about what we're doing or anything, or just please leave a comment down below. And some of the time the terms we might use might not make perfect sense. So if you have any questions about that, just leave it in the comments below as well. So are you confused about how do you make the most of your private health insurance? So just a bit of background. 55% of Australians have health insurance, and of the total spend in our industry as far as how much money comes in to optometrists, it's about 28% comes from optical health funds. So it's pretty significant, and it's important that we know a lot about it. There's a couple of different sort of what basically happens if you've got health insurance. You can have extras, and what that means is that you may be entitled to get some glasses with your extras. Yep. Some people are not aware of that, so it's worth discussing that. Some of these health funds will also have what we call preferred providership arrangements, and what that basically means is that the health funds have organised for usually a corporate optometry group. That's not always the case, but usually that case, to provide they basically encourage you to go as a fund member to those preferred providers. And I think it's just worth a mention that don't be fooled that, in my opinion, sometimes the preferred providership arrangements are not necessarily in the best interest of the patient, but possibly more in the best interest of the fund. Now, an example of this would be one of the funds that's had a vertical integration strategy where they have actually started to provide eye care and glasses for their fund members. Now, in general, the health funds we tend to concentrate more in the low cost, high volume end of the market in terms of providing eye care. And I suppose you've got to ask the question, is that where you want to be?
Exactly. Yeah.
Oftentimes providers will have special deals based on price, and I think it's worth a mention that most independent optometrists are able to compete with these deals. And you just remember, if you're supporting independent optometrists, then you're supporting a local business, which means that we can then go back and support you, which is beneficial.
Very good.
All right, so let's just talk about the different ways that you can use your private health insurance optical entitlements for glasses. So, classic way is...
Definitely glasses.
Yeah.
So, straight up, glasses for...
just your everyday pair.
Everyday wear.
Yeah.
Yep, that's it.
But then, sometimes you might have an everyday pair and something happens to it, so it's always handy to have a backup pair of glasses.
For sure.
Another example would be a spare pair of readers. So occasionally we might have patients that have some issues with using progressive lenses.
Yep.
And because the section of the progressive lens for reading is relatively small compared to the whole lens, and in that case, there's sometimes benefits in having a second pair of reading glasses.
For sure.
Another example would be driving glasses. So if you think about the reverse, some people with progressive lenses find that they don't like the peripheral blur and distortion. So a good example of this would be, sometimes I have farmers that come in and drive the headers, and they need to be able to drive and see the end of the header, and sometimes the peripheral blur and distortion with progressive lenses causes them some problems, so they really like a single vision pair of glasses. They're called header glasses.
No, we try not to. No.
So also another example would be like computer or office glasses as well. They're specifically designed for you in front of the computer screen, and you might say consider having the special reflective coatings, the blue blocking filters to help with reducing eye strain. Another example of a way people would do this would be sunglasses.
So definitely your sunglasses.
Prescription sunglasses, of course.
Without a doubt.
Contact lenses as well. And finally, and one which everybody forgets is...
repairing glasses.
Yeah, exactly. So if you've damaged your glasses, you can actually come and make a claim to get your glasses repaired using your private health insurance entitlement. So that's one to not to forget. So the next thing I wanted to cover was the ways in which we will find out for you how much you're entitled to with your private health insurance. Now the first way is that we can actually organise a quotation. Our system enables us to do that, where we can actually swipe your card. You need to come in and physically do this. We swipe back your card through, your private health insurance card, and it would tell us how much you can get back for your glasses. Some funds don't let us do this, and so in that case we can actually process a claim and cancel it. So we don't actually have to proceed at that point, which is good. Another way that we can tell is by looking at your previous claims. So in some instances, like obviously if you haven't changed your private health insurance levels, then it's quite easy for us to go back and check to see what you had previously, and then we get an indication of how much you're going to get this time.
I was going to say also too, a lot of the health funds have apps now too, which are quite handy, and they'll tell you how much your optical limit is each year.
Yeah, and then finally we have iTalk. So this is a guide that we use. Shout out to iTalk. Thank you for providing your guide, which we that one's actually an older model, but an older edition, but that's fine.
It, the Optical Bible.
Yeah.
This one.
So basically, there's a page in there which has a lot of details about all the different private health insurances, the funds, and like some of that, it gives us the breakdown as to some of them which are have a calendar year versus a financial year. So what we mean by that is that your entitlement will roll over on at different times, and we can tell you all that sort of information. It also gives us an indication of the breakdown of the different levels, and how much money you'll get back as per the level that you're on. All right, so let's talk about a couple of patient examples that we've done just fairly recently of private health insurance claims for people.
Just to maximise your benefit, your rebate kind of thing, because I know that as a private health, I do have private health myself, you're always looking at the best way to maximise your rebates. So for an example, with glasses, definitely claiming 2 pairs can be quite expensive, so buying 2 pairs can be quite expensive. We do recommend, say, an everyday pair and sunglasses. So a best way to maximise your rebate would definitely be to claim over the 2 years. So for example, using your benefit 1 year, December, or June, July, and then coming back for your sunglasses in January. So then you're maximising your rebate without losing out optically on site, which is really good. So just a little bit of a layover in time, but you're still getting your 2 pairs.
So patients often look at us in shock when we say, "Now hold on a sec, we would recommend you actually don't get your next pair of sunglasses right now. Let's get that organised in the new year, and then you get your next entitlement with your private health insurance."
Definitely. Yeah.
Now the interesting thing is there is actually some funds where you can make a claim on the frame component of a job and then the lens component of a job as well. So and some funds will not allow this and some will, and there's lots of different rules, and we know them. So.
Yeah, that's it. So sometimes, like, we have to know what level of cover you're in and everything like that. And as we say, it all depends on the health fund and your level. So we can definitely do that without a doubt, but it just depends.
I want to give you another example of a patient we recently organised some glasses for. Now this patient didn't have much of a prescription or a problem for seeing things in the distance, but they did have a problem with reading. And that meant that they were eligible for a prescription which just happened to suit an off-the-shelf product called a My Maui reader. And what this meant is that the person was able to organise for the first time ever a pair of sunglasses with a reading section in the bottom through their private health insurance. Previously they'd be buying sunglasses and actually paying their money out in full, and then they got this high quality pair of Maui Jims at a significantly reduced rate than what they would have ordinarily got. Yep. Now the stipulation with that, or the condition was that I had to have deemed that that was appropriate for them and written a prescription on that particular basis, which I did, and they were fine. And it's quite likely they'll come back next year if they've destroyed them and get another pair because they can.
Yeah, that's it.
We thought we might just go through a couple of frequently asked questions as well with respect to private health insurance. So, can a rebate be used as a partial payment at the time of ordering if the product is paid in full? So basically what we're trying to say here is that the answer is different for different health funds, but generally what will happen is we will be happy to accept the rebate for your private health insurance if we can take the payment in full. If we are needing the other only issue is that when you have to collect your glasses, that's the other time when we would actually process the private health insurance rebate. That makes it a bit more tricky though, because we need to work out how much you're going to get back and leave that outstanding amount on the account, because obviously we need to take a bit of a deposit to get started with most glasses because it's their custom product. We've already quickly touched on whether a frame can be purchased over 2 years to maximise, like frame lenses and frames one year, then lenses the other next year. Is it possible for you to purchase a frame and then go and get your lenses at a different time or a different optometrist? The answer is yes.
Yes.
In some cases and not in others. So again, a bit of a curly one with private health funds. Some of them would probably prefer for you to pay for it in full and then try and obtain a rebate later. And that's probably the way that most optometrists would usually work in that situation. But it would also be possible in some cases, with some health funds, to be able to make that claim. The main reason why that can be a bit of a concern is if people buy sunglasses and then don't actually follow through with getting the lenses as well. So that's a bit of a summary of private health insurance. I wanted to thank everybody for watching, and if you've got any questions about private health funds, we would be more than happy to answer them, and we hope that that you can get some information about this and find this of help.
Yep. Brilliant. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks.